Hey everybody, my name is Paul Esden Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Speaking of Heavy.com, we're streaming live to 31,000 New York Jets fans on our Heavy on Jets Facebook page. Thanks for joining us, guys. YouTube.com/BoyGreen25 and on the Twitter account, The Jet Zone. More on that later, why it's a Jet Zone and not Boy Green 25. But enough of the hoopla. Let's bring in a special guest who will be joining us a little bit for our live stream tonight. He's one of the legends. He was featured in the Jets documentary special, and he's absolutely spectacular. You already know who he is, but this is New York Jets Media, NY Jets _media. You guys can hit him up on Twitter and all social media. Richie gracing us with his presence. What's up, Richie?
What's up, Paul? I'm excited to talk some Jets with you tonight. Like we said pre-show, it's been long overdue to have each other on each other's shows, man. I'm excited.
Yes. 100%. And again, it was awesome to see you on the Jets documentary. You're doing us all proud out there, which was cool. And I saw your video on it. You did a recap. We'll be doing one as well with Seth joining us on the show later this week. So I'm looking forward to all that stuff. But I know we have limited time, Richie. This was out of nowhere for us to spontaneously do this. We'll do it in longer form in the future. I have to be honest. I have to hear your immediate reactions because we kind of got them in a double bit so quick, in fact, that Mecole Hardman, I'm like, do a quick video. Oh, Mecole Hardman, great. All right, family, time to go hang out. Oh, snap, Elijah Moore traded. Sorry, family, you're on hold. I got to jump back over to the camera. So I know it hit us in a double-decker here, but Mecole Hardman and immediately thereafter getting Elijah Moore traded. What are the feelings and emotions, man?
Yeah, the NFL gave us all a double-decker because they gave us a Mecole Hardman trade, a signing, and I was like, wow, okay, I like that move. I went live for a little bit, and I actually had somewhere to be. And right when I left, that's when the Jets traded away Elijah Moore. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go back home. I got to make this video. I got to go live. What's going on? There's a lot of things in my head spinning around. And the funny thing about my stream that I made of my initial reaction to the Mecole Hardman news was, we're still not trading Elijah Moore. Enough of these rumors. And I look like a dummy. And I can sit here and say, hey, I was completely wrong. I felt like the Jets valued Elijah Moore, but obviously Elijah Moore did not value the New York Jets. And I think that's really where it comes down to, where Elijah Moore requested a trade when we were on a winning streak, Paul. It wasn't like we were doom and gloom and he wasn't playing well and the Jets were playing like crappy Jets in previous years like we've come to used to. That wasn't the case. The team was winning. The vibes were high, and he still demanded a trade because he was selfish and he put himself over the team. And if you put yourself over the team when the team is winning like that, the coaching staff will not forget. The ownership will not forget. The front office will not forget. And they feel like, since they're adding a lot of talent to this wide receiver room, what if Elijah Moore, even if we're winning yet again, is upset with targets? So they thought, you know what? Let's get the value that he at right now. Let's move up in the draft from the third round to the second round, and let's ship him off, and let's go bring in a speedy threat of Mecole Hardman. And I think that they're not done of adding the wide receiver position as well.
Yeah, and since we're just admitting our dummy takes of the day, I'll be honest, in that first video, I'm like, we get Mecole Hardman. I know Jet fans are split, so I'm going to have to get your take on it, and content creators for that matter. But after they signed Mecole Hardman, I'm like, well, I guess the OBJ dream is dead, everybody. I'm sorry. I know I've been championing it. I've been pounding the table for it, but apparently not. And then the Elijah Moore trade, I'm like, Soprano style, you pulled me back in, baby. I'm back on the OBJ train. Richie, where have you been during this entire trip? Because it seems polarizing. You're either totally against it or totally for it. It doesn't seem like there's any in between on Jets OBJ.
Yeah, I agree. It is definitely, and I use that same exact word, that OBJ is polarizing amongst the fan base because, you ask the question and you get people in the chat saying no, and then you get people saying yeah. So it's just like, it really is an interesting thing. And I was on the same exact wavelength. When we got Hardman, I was like, say goodbye to OBJ. And then we trade away Elijah Moore. I'm like, say hello to OBJ. We are right back in that conversation yet again. I mean, the things that are happening with this Jets team is just happening so quickly. And you know what? You can definitely sell me on Odell Beckham Jr. coming to the New York Jets because we are going for a win-now team. And if Aaron Rodgers wants him here, I want him here. It is a big risk, and I understand the risk. And the thing is, it's a high risk, high reward situation because if he's available and you sign Odell Beckham Jr. to a reasonable contract, he's on the field and he's playing football, we're getting a very good wide receiver. For the LA Rams, during that Super Bowl run, he was playing really good football. It's not like he's washed up or anything. The issue with him is availability. And of course, you could bring up his off the field diva stuff, which I think is in his past. I really don't think that would be an issue, especially with the Jets team, with a Garrett Wilson, with Aaron Rodgers, with the vibes that we have with Salah. I don't think that would be an issue. But you can definitely sell me on Odell Beckham Jr. I think it's this, Paul. It's either OBJ or we're drafting a receiver high in the NFL draft, because we definitely still need to add a big-time threat to that receiver room.
I would absolutely love it. And again, I think Peter King is the one that's prognosticated the Jets are going to get a ton of primetime action, but specifically, he believes Sunday night or Monday Night Football to kick off the season will be happening for the Jets, whether it's against the Eagles or Bills for the two games he mentioned. I think any Jet fan that's on the fence, I'm not sure about the OBJ thing, not really sure. How about when Aaron Rodgers is throwing a freaking game-winning touchdown pass to OBJ doing a one-hander all of a sudden on primetime? All of a sudden, I think those Jet fans may jump off the gosh darn fence and get freaky with it, because that's the thing to me. We're all in, baby. We went from slow, methodical, piece by piece by piece to booyah, push all the chips in the middle of the table and let's go chase this thing. And I hope Jet fans can embrace that, because all hell, I don't envision Joe Douglas trading 10 first-round picks away to make a deal happen, but I think he's going to be aggressive to push all our chips. And again, for a team that hasn't made the playoffs in freaking 12 years, I feel like more fans should be embracing that, quite frankly, Richie.
I agree, and it really is spectacular that we're at this situation where we are going all in to win, and that has not been the case recently. We've always been pushing it to the point where the narrative is always, a year from now or 2 years from now, we're going to be good because of the development of this quarterback. We're trying to just like blindly believing in the development of a young quarterback, which never worked. And it's unfortunate for the Jets with Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson, of course, but here we are going after Aaron Rodgers. And now this fan base is getting ready for an offseason where we're in the middle of it, of doing something we've never done in a long, long time. And that's doing exactly that. Win now moves, and win now moves only. It's not like we are not young, so we can afford getting veterans like an OBJ, like a Calais Campbell, who I would love them to get. We can go take the flyers on these old veterans that are in their, back into their career, that will add veteran leadership, that still has a lot of juice left in the tank to add to this roster. And it really is cool that we're becoming that team that I think NFL players are going to look at this season. Like, you know what? The Jets seem like they're going all in this year. I kind of want to join them. I'll take a little discount. Like, I feel like we're becoming that team similarly to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when Tom Brady went down there. So it is definitely something I'm not used to. I am not used to this.
Definitely not.
But hey, let's all soak it in. We've been through misery our entire lives, whether you're an older generation Jets fan or a younger one like myself. We've all been through the misery, whether long or short. And I think we can all accept this offseason of the expectations going to rise, and we got to live up to them because the pressure is going to be through the roof.
Absolutely. Let's get a couple quickies before we get you out of here, Rich. And everybody else, we're still going to keep this train rolling. But like I said, this was kind of spontaneous in nature of me and Richie hooking up. We'll do it on a much longer form. I'm seeing you fans are really digging it. So it's been a long time coming. Both of us, both Boy Green and Richie, speaking in third person here, were featured in the Jets Twitter doc. I got to be honest, Richie, some of my favorite moments of that whole thing is the Aaron Rodgers watching, getting a bunch of us content creators and the reaction on social media. I have to ask you first, because who knows when this watch is going to end Game of Thrones style, but I have to ask you, Richie, what has been your favorite part covering the Aaron Rodgers watch? Because you guys and the greater you guys, Jets content creators, have been doing live streams for like 6-7 hours at a time, doing crazy stuff for this Aaron Rodgers thing. What's been your favorite part so far?
Yeah, the favorite part was easily just hearing from the man himself, his words saying, I am playing and my intention is to play for the New York Jets. I mean, hearing that was just like, whoa, because usually we hear that news from a reporter, but this new era, especially from Aaron Rodgers, who has a personal thing against the media, he wanted to do this way. And you got to give the New York Jets a lot of credit for keeping this silent, because, and I had a theory, Paul, my theory was proven correct. Because Aaron Rodgers told the New York Jets on Friday that he was going to play, and he wants to play for the New York Jets. And what were all the reports that we heard from Connor Hughes, from Ian?
They don't know what's going on. They don't know. They're in the dark.
It's either retirement or it's the Packers or it's the Jets.
Right.
That's what they kept throwing in our faces. And when they kept saying that over and over and over again, I was thinking, like, guys, there is no way Aaron Rodgers does not know that the Jets are lying to these people, or they're just ignoring them. It's one of those two. There's no way Rodgers does not know what he wants to do. He's made his mind up whether he's retiring or not by now. And then we heard from the man himself say, this isn't an announcement. This isn't my decision. That happened already. It just hasn't been public. here's my decision. I intend to play for the New York Jets, and that was last Friday. And when I heard that, it just really made me feel like, wow, the New York Jets are doing this right. They're doing it right by Aaron Rodgers. They're not giving the media what they want with the answers. They're keeping it close, and they're allowing Aaron Rodgers to announce it on his own scale, which was by he is the source. There's no second, third party going to tell the world that I want to play for the Jets. I'm going to tell the world I'm going to play for the Jets. And that was definitely the best moment of this offseason for me.
No doubt about it. Again, I got to get that on a t-shirt. I intend to play for the New York Jets. That is a moment in Jets history we will never forget. Richie, before we get you out of here, what is your prediction? When does this thing happen? I think my prediction, to potentially, infiltrate your mind here, is the NFL owners meetings coming up from the 26th to 29th. All these people are going to be in person, and to potentially push something over the goal line, all we need is a little peer pressure. It's a little harder in person to ignore somebody. Maybe that's when Jets-Packers land gets together, which, by the way, as of recording this, will be at the end of it a week from now, so somewhere within the next 7 days or something, I believe it gets hammered out. What say you, Richie, before we get you out of here?
I think it's going to happen before the draft. I think that's the leverage point that the Jets have over the Packers. If it goes after the draft, and the Packers kind of have that leverage by the June 1 cap situation, whatever that is. But I think that the New York Jets, they can throw the draft picks that they got. Now they got two second-round picks that they can do. And I think that the Jets, for them to make this trade for Elijah Moore, tells me that they really want to make sure that they can build through the draft this season. They can still sacrifice a second-round pick and still have a pick in the first and a second round to get their receiver or offensive lineman, or whatever way you want to do it, a defensive player. We'll talk about that more leading up to the NFL draft. I don't know if it's going to happen next week or the week after that, but I genuinely believe that the Green Bay Packers are going to fold to whatever the price is, because they're going to realize we need to get picks now. And I know that the Packers got 10 picks this season already, but they want as many picks as possible to build around Jordan Love, and to be a disservice to Jordan Love by not getting the most out of him this season, because you got to see what he is. And if Jordan Love goes out there and stinks it up this year, then you're back to square one. You got to build around him now. And why not get a second-round pick, and if not more, in the back end of the draft from the Jets for this year's draft class, instead of pushing it down the road, which, by the way, the draft picks wouldn't be as good as they would be this year, because the Jets are going to be a good team next year.
You damn right they are, Richie, and I'm looking forward to it. Before we get you out of here, of course, right now, like I said, streaming on the Heavy on Jets platform, among a few others, is 31,000 plus New York Jet fans that may or may not be familiar with your work. Of course, before we get you out of here, use the platform, let everybody know what you have going on and where they can find you, and hopefully grow the wild Jets media army out there.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Paul, for having me on this. This was a great time, even though it was a short period of time. I'm excited to be on here for an extended period of time, and would also love to have you on my show sometime soon. So we'll definitely talk about that in the next couple days. But yeah, you can find me over on YouTube, Jets Media. I'm on Instagram and Twitter at NYJets_media. I cover the Jets as much as I possibly can. I'm just a passionate, rabid fan, just like you guys are watching this right now. I'm nothing special, just a passionate fan that goes crazy during games. I live stream my reaction during games, and I go a little too crazy when we're winning and a little too crazy when we're losing as well. You get to see both sides of me. But yeah, it's a lot of fun covering this Jets team, and I think my favorite part about this is connecting with the Jets fans around the world. All the people in the live chat, all the people that show love, all the people that show hate as well. It all comes in the same realm, and I really do appreciate all of that. So, Paul, thank you for having me on, my friend. You do a phenomenal job with what you do with your coverage with this football team, and we're very thankful to have you as part of this content creation team, man. We really do appreciate that, and I appreciate you for having me on.
Of course, that warms my heart, Richie. And again, we will do this on a long. I'm seeing all the people going, boy, Green, Richie, all these chants in the chat. Again, people, we are a show of the people. We try to do right by the people. So again, we will do this again soon. Here's just a little tease, a little taste, baby. And if you want more, go to Jets Media on all his beautiful social media channels for more. And we will do this again in the near future. Richie, thanks for checking in for a little bit, pal.
Thank you, man. Have a good night.
There he is, Richie, joining us from Jets Media. Fantastic, spectacular content. Again, guys, make sure you check him out. Again, we'll be doing that on a longer range basis, certainly moving forward, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to stay on, of course, because there's a couple of headlines I want to get to, because part of this YouTube video says Jets predicted to sign OBJ. Paul, what the hell are you talking about? And also the quote in the headline, coaches didn't believe in Elijah Moore. It's time to be a man of my word and get to a couple of those headlines, because we need need to give you guys the latest. And there you go. Let's throw it up for Jets Media. Thank you, guys. And again, 31,000 New York Jet fans on our Heavy on Jets Facebook page. That is my work. Again, I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. So Jets Media, again, you can check out his YouTube channel right there, baby. We're also on my YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/boygreen25. And of course, on my Twitter account at the Jets_zone. And real quick, of course, the reason why I'm not live on my Twitter account at boygreen25 is your brother got hacked, baby. So I am waiting from the Twitter gods to get that Twitter account back. That is 12,000 plus Jet fans that are being held hostage and not being able to see this live stream. So unfortunate, but again, guys, we will be back stronger and better than ever in due time. However, until we get there, guys, let's play a couple of clips for you. I'm going to throw it up on the big board. We'll start with the Elijah Moore news first, and then we'll work to the OBJ news because kind of they have some things in common. I'm going to throw this up on the board. Brian Costello, who does a wonderful podcast, The Gang's All Here, was recently asked about the Elijah Moore situation. He provided some fascinating insight on why the New York Jets pulled the trigger on this trade, and that will allow, I think, each and every one of us to dive into this a little bit deeper. Here's the latest from Brian Costello on why the New York Jets traded away their 22-year-old budding star, Elijah Moore.
I go back and forth, Ryan. I do think a second-round pick is a great pick to get, right? Like, I mean, that's not nothing. So they got something. I think the way I'd answer it, it's really not what I think about Elijah Moore. It's not what you think about Elijah Moore. And Jets fans loved him when they got him in the second round. The coaches don't believe in Elijah Moore. I think that kind of became clear last year. And obviously Mike LaFleur's moved on, but Robert Saleh is still here. I just don't think they ever were completely sold on Elijah Moore. And so I think this was a coach-driven trade more. You know, I think they wanted to get Hardman, and they feel like Hardman is a better fit in the slot. Hardman can return kicks. And then Joe Douglas turned it around and he got something for him. So it's not like they traded him for a bag of chips. Like a second-round pick is a good trade. So, that being said, there are moments that I can remember watching Elijah Moore, particularly in training camp, where I thought, man, this guy's going to be a star.
And that's the gist there from Brian Costello, again, sharing his take from the Gangs All Here podcast. I want to give a couple of things to you. Of course, the chat is open for you guys because, again, this is a show by the people, for the people. If you guys would like to get involved, first off, there's a couple ways to do so. The free way, if you're watching on YouTube, is liking the video, hitting subscribe down below for more fantastic New York Jets content, live streams. We have special guests. Last week, we had the wonderful Field Yates, ESPN NFL Insider. We had Bryce Huff on the show, Jets defensive lineman. We have a couple other current Jets players lined up to be joining us here soon, including, here's a tease, we have a Jets player that is waiting to sign his contract, and as soon as he does, he's joining our show. So boom, there's a tease. So we get current players, former players, live streams, all kinds of great content. So hopefully you guys can check it out. Again, like the video, hit subscribe. Even if you're watching right now on our Twitter account or Facebook, jump over to YouTube and subscribe. 4,000 plus subscribers strong. But now, and also YouTube Super Chat feature is available for you guys on YouTube. You'll guarantee you get your comments answered. But I do want to address a few points here. First off, on that Brian Costello nugget, a coach-driven trade. The coaches didn't believe in Elijah Moore. Some of those things just sting. It is tough to hear those kinds of comments, coming down the pike on Elijah Moore, a 22-year-old who is obviously supremely talented. I'll say this, in a vacuum, okay? Joe Douglas is known for these wonderful trades and pulling off these masterful trades. But I'll tell you this, in a vacuum, this trade stinks for Joe Douglas. Stinks. Relative. I'll explain. It stinks that you trade a 22-year-old who still had 2 years left on his contract at less than $2 million per year each of those years. That's tough. That's tough. That's a failure in a lot of respects. However, we can't evaluate this trade in a vacuum. If we could, the Jets lost this trade, but we do not. You know why? Because this likely accelerates the Aaron Rodgers trade. We heard as much from Zach Rosenblatt in The Athletic earlier today that this trade now moves the needle and starts pushing the chips into the middle of the table for the next move. Again, What did the Packers end up getting? Right now, the Jets still have 6 picks in the 2023 NFL draft. They simply moved up from the 3rd round, number 74 overall, to number 42 overall. Here's where the Jets pick. They have 13th overall in the 1st round, a pair of 2nd round picks, 42 and 43rd overall. They no longer have a 3rd round pick. They have a 4th, 5th, and 6th. They don't have a 7th rounder because that was part of the Steve McClendon trade. So that is the list of draft picks that the Jets have. But how many of those go to who is going to be here? Like Aaron Rodgers, is 13 traded? Is 42 traded? Is 43 traded? Is a conditional pick in the future? There's a lot of different options de jour on the table, and perhaps this trade accelerates the other, as Zach Rosenblatt hinted at in The Athletic. So with all of these potential moving pieces all over the place for the New York Jets, they now have options. So again, if you evaluate Elijah Moore in a vacuum, as a lot of people have done on social media, then you're going to be somewhat put off, quite frankly, by the return value, which ends up being a high 3rd round pick when you combine the draft value chart with a 3rd and Elijah Moore to the 2nd round. When you evaluate from that perspective, it doesn't seem like a good trade. But being able to step back, because I gave you guys a live reaction for an hour plus a couple hours ago when the trade happened immediately, and now having a couple hours to digest it, just hearing obviously there from Richie to kick off the show, when you really take a step back, it sounds even more likely potentially that all of this can come together for the New York Jets. So Elijah Moore gone, and then the big nuggets we just heard from Brian Costello, which are fascinating. Coach-driven trade. Coaches didn't believe in him, and those kind of words are powerful when you hear that from Brian Costello, who has covered the team. Now let's get to the other bullet point, because again, I am a man of my word, baby. We are 21 minutes in here. Let's answer the other headline. Jets predicted to sign Odell Beckham Jr. And I'll tell you this, I've been herky-jerky from this point. I've wanted OBJ from the get-go. I think OBJ is a special talent. Is he 30? Yes. Has he had 2 ACL injuries in the last 2.5 years? Yes. Yes, he has. But his ceiling is unbelievable. If Aaron Rodgers wants OBJ, why shouldn't each and every one of you want OBJ on your wish list? The ceiling is incredible. Also, this is like not a real reason to trade for him or sign him rather, but a kind of like elbow to the Giants. You bring OBJ back to New York and he's catching touchdown passes in primetime. You rub it in the Giants' face. I mean, that's just a cherry on top of the pie. Let's be honest. But Zach Rosenblatt, here you go, on OBJ being predicted to land with the New York Jets. Here are the juicy nuggets. This is from the Can't Wait podcast, which, by the way, they did an emergency episode tonight. I was able to listen to it before coming on in its full glory. The Can't Wait podcast from The Athletic. Here is Zach Rosenblatt, who told Tim McMaster, who's kind of their producer, director, a little bit of everything. He's kind of the host of the show and kind of feeds stuff to Zach Rosenblatt. Zach Rosenblatt told Tim McMaster before the show, quote, "I think it's happening," in reference to Odell Beckham Jr. signing with the Jets. And he said from people he's spoken with, this is Zach Rosenblatt, this is real, OBJ Jets. He has heard from people inside the building, Zach Rosenblatt, about OBJ, and people close to OBJ that OBJ wants to play for the Jets and he wants to play with Aaron Rodgers, and that there's a lot of smoke and fire around this. Now, I'll give you my own personal take. Earlier, when the Jets signed Mecole Hardman, I have a quick video out because I reacted real quick. I hopped on here, did a quick show. It wasn't live. It was a quick 5 minutes, boom, send it out to YouTube. And then I went back to my lunch, and, minutes later, whatever it ends up being, Elijah Moore is traded. And during the Mecole Hardman interview, I'm like, well, I guess OBJ's over since they're bringing in Mecole Hardman. Oh, well, OBJ watch over. My watch has ended, Game of Thrones style, and I went back to lunch. Then Jets trade Elijah Moore, and then you start looking at the rest of the wide receiver room. Corey Davis is going to be traded to the Packers. Elijah Moore's now gone. Denzel Mims in the last year of his deal. Mecole Hardman, quite frankly, was only signed to a 1-year deal anyway. All of a sudden you go, whoa. All of a sudden we're back in on OBJ. And I go back to the Sopranos, gif that just when you thought you were out, they pull you back in, baby. And all of a sudden I'm back in, all in on the OBJ train. Okay. The ceiling, the talent. I mean, come on. Aaron Rodgers throwing to freaking Odell Beckham Jr. Sign me the hell up. Yes. So it does seem like that's going to happen. And here's why honestly, even beyond the Zach Rosenblatt thing, which, by the way, is a great juicy nugget provided here tonight based on the latest info. He has talked to people that still believe this thing is real and this thing's going to happen. So OBJ to the Jets, baby, let's go. But even beyond that, think about the different levels of reporting that's happened to Jets OBJ. If it's one guy, I could understand some of you Jet fans raising your eyebrow going, how real is OBJ to the Jets? One random person has said it, but no one else has corroborated that story. We've heard it from Diana Rossini. We've heard it now from Zach Rosenblatt. We've heard it from Connor Hughes. We've heard it from Rich Samiti. We've heard it from 4 or 5 different sources, from 4 or 5 different platforms, and even OBJ himself, who has both been hanging out with Sauce Gardner on his Twitch stream. He has been FaceTiming with Sauce Gardner. Mekhi Becton and other Jets players on the team are conversing. They're chatting with Odell Beckham Jr. They want OBJ. And for good reason. This is a dynamic player. This guy has the talent to, quite frankly, if he was inserted on the Jets roster right freaking now, he would be the second most talented player on this team, not named Garrett Wilson in the wide receiver room. Those are just facts. Now, you can say injuries this, injuries that. And sure, when he came into the league, OBJ had some hamstring stuff. You have the ACL injuries, which are unfortunate, both in the Rams Super Bowl, which was the last time we saw him on a football field officially. He did not play last season. And then with the Browns, this guy to me is a spectacular talent. This guy is a superstar. And if you can add these guys to the room, why wouldn't you? Think about that wide receiver room, which, by the way, may be the most talented in all of football. You have at the top Garrett Wilson, unquestionably the reigning, defending offensive rookie of the year, the only offensive rookie of the year in Jets franchise history. Number 2, let's go to Allen Lazard, who is a phenomenal number 2, a 6'5", 227-pound beast, who, by the way, does not care about stats or any of these things, as he said multiple times. And he's never been a 1,000-yard receiver. Perhaps people will say that maybe he was overpaid in free agency. We actually wrote a column about that from what someone suggested on that. And plus, by the way, if he at all results in any factor of Aaron Rodgers coming to the Jets, and by the way, it was worth it just on that alone. Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks in this generation. So that would be fine on its own. Allen Lazard knows the system with Nathaniel Hackett. So he is going to be, and I've used this Game of Thrones reference before, the Red Priestess that's going to tell the rest of the wide receiver room, help mentor some of the younger players on the roster and allow them to become greater professionals. So Allen Lazard, spectacular. Mecole Hardman brings the speed factor. 4.33 40-yard dash. He's going to be, and let's not get this wrong, people, because I think a lot of people misinterpret, and as did I, quite frankly. When Mecole Hardman was signed earlier today, he was signed first before the Jets traded Elijah Moore. I think a lot of us said, oh man, he's potentially replacing someone like an Elijah Moore on the roster. When you take a step back, no. He ain't replacing Elijah Moore. He's replacing Braxton Berrios. What Mecole Hardman is a souped-up version of Braxton Berrios. He's bigger than Braxton Berrios. He's faster, significantly, than Braxton Berrios. On end-arounds, jet sweeps, vertical passing game, Mecole Hardman brings a different flavor to this group than any other receiver on the roster. And actually, I wrote an article about that as well tonight. When you look at some of the guys on the roster, Garrett Wilson, 4.38, 40-yard dash. Denzel Mims, 4.38, 40-yard dash. Corey Davis in that 4.5 range. Allen Lazard, 4.55 range. Okay? Mecole Hardman, 4.33. Now, you may say to yourself, what the hell is the difference between 4.33, 4.38, 4.45, and all these other numbers? Fractions of seconds make the difference between this and that. Good and great. It's, again, to use the cliche, inches in football make up the difference. Freaking Mecole Hardman can take the top off of defense, and really where he really thrived, he's only behind Deebo Samuel in yards after catch since 2019 coming into the league. It's getting the ball in his hands and allowing that young man to go to work. And you've seen that in a couple of his highlights of getting the ball in his hands and using that elite speed to make some things happen. That, to me, is incredibly dynamic. So I really love that addition, quite frankly. And now to hear that OBJ is predicted to land with the Jets, I am absolutely titillated by the talent, the depth of this wide receiving core. And if an injury happens, the Jets are prepared. And I fully expect, by the way, Randall Cobb will be replacing Jeff Smith as wide receiver 5 on this team. So you go 5 deep, and your 5 are Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, okay, Mecole Hardman. You go with OBJ potentially, and then Randall Cobb. Not bad. 5 deep. Not freaking bad, baby. That's for damn sure. And plus, of course, as the Jets are a candidate for HBO's Hard Knocks, it's the Jets, the Saints, the Washington Commanders, and the Chicago Bears. It's not much of a contest. The New York Jets are getting Hard Knocks. The New York Jets are getting primetime games, the 5 maximum they will get in May when the schedule drops. These are not predictions. These are spoiler alerts. So, might I add. All right, let's dive into the comment section. I know a lot to get off the show. The first 30 minutes with Richie joining us and me making sure we answer the 2 headlines on the video. I want to make sure we get to that as quickly as possible. Guys, like I said, like the video, hit subscribe. Also, feel free to hit up the YouTube super chat to make sure your comment gets answered. I'm going to work our way back from old to young here. Let's see if we can do it. Joe Drippman, Rodgers trade next. Yes. Again, my pivot point, I believe, will be the NFL owners meeting, which, by the way, in a week will be over. It's the 26th through the 29th in Arizona. That's when these guys will be looking at each other. So I think it is going to happen then. I'm seeing a lot of people shout out Boy Green. Appreciate it. Only on the cheap. Again, here's an interesting thing. Diana Rossini reported that OBJ is seeking between 15 and 20 million per year. OBJ came out on Twitter and said, I have no idea what the hell you people are talking about. Just 4 ain't enough, suggesting perhaps the team offered him a $4 million contract. I think the truth lies somewhere in between. If you give him a contract that's in the 7, 8, 9 ballpark that has some incentives worked into it where he can get to a different portion of that, that's where I think the real contract is. It's got to be incentives based from that. Greg Budd, starting to get a little interesting. OBJ, hell yeah, it is. I am all in. I am intrigued, and sign me up. I think it's going to happen. Patty, things are getting interesting and exciting. Anthony Joseph, Boy Green, Jets Media. What about the NFL draft? Yeah, the NFL draft is another deadline. If we make it past the NFL owners meetings and no deal is accomplished, the next pressure point, of course, is the NFL draft. That runs from April 27th through April 29th, Thursday, of course, through Saturday. And if the Packers are motivated to get a deal done, and obviously they are, we've reached this point, they're going to want picks to help Jordan Love immediately. So they want to get that deal done before the draft, and probably from their perspective, preferably well before the draft, so they can prepare what to do with whatever picks they end up getting from that perspective. Sean Bennett, what if OBJ is signed? Bye-bye, Corey Davis. No, I don't believe that's a connection. Quite frankly, I'd be stunned if Corey Davis was on the roster in 2023. Him and Alan Lazard are basically the same player. Lazard's just bigger, and he's been more effective as a big slot in the NFL. I think Corey Davis is a part of the Aaron Rodgers trade. I firmly believe that, or a separate trade similar to Elijah Moore, where he just kind of gets moved at some point. But I believe that he will be moved to the Packers. The Packers head coach is Matt LaFleur. He was in Tennessee with Corey Davis. I think that's just going to happen. And the Packers have called about Corey Davis before. For sure. Franco, I really felt like Moore would have been elite with Rodgers QB1. Bittersweet. I think so as well. But as you heard from Brian Costello earlier, that's part of the headline, is the coaches did not buy in with Elijah Moore. And ultimately, they didn't think he was going to be a great fit. So, and I'm sure the trade request really changed their minds last season, that this guy, kind of carried himself like he was already a star at 22. And there's something to be said about confidence, and then there's arrogance. And when you get to that arrogant level and you're demanding targets at 22 years of age and the team's winning, it really rubs a lot of people the wrong way, and obviously did from that. Rico the Pup, who would be against a 31-year-old diva with 2 knee injuries? What? Who had an issue with that? Yeah, I sensed the sarcasm laid on pretty thick there. But again, I'm all for the ceiling. I want to score all the damn points. The Jets forever. If so, what? They have too many weapons? Like that's a hill I'm willing to die on. They have too many, weapons. I'd rather die on that for sure. Hey fellers, John Hepburn joining us. Rico the Pup. We trade our slot receiver in a draft that has no clear number 1 receiver, but a ton of great slot receivers. I'll take the draft pick over OBJ. Interesting. We will see. Yeah, I know there's no consensus number 1, but I believe as close to a consensus is Jackson Smith and Jigba. We will see. Obviously, I don't think there's any guarantee the Jets take an offensive tackle. I know we haven't talked a lot of draft for obvious reasons, but I don't think it's a slam dunk they take offensive tackle. Dwayne Brown came back, and I'm sure he came back with some level of assurance that he's going to get some PT. and he's playing left tackle. And then what about right tackle? Max Mitchell, Mekhi Becton. So where does that go? Does 13 all of a sudden become available for a wide receiver? Do they trade back to recoup some of the picks they may lose in the Aaron Rodgers trade? That's a factor. But Jackson Smith and Jigba may be their guy. Edwin, is this true about OBJ? 100%. Again, from Zach Rosenblatt, he predicted that OBJ will sign with the Jets. He told Tim McMaster, quote, I think it's going to happen. He told him that off air before the show started. And then in reference to OBJ, he said, the thing is real. I spoke to people inside the building and people close to OBJ. It's real. He wants to play for the Jets. He wants to play with Aaron Rodgers. So, yes, it appears to be true. And not only Zach Rosenblatt, that's the latest nuggets from tonight, obviously, that we're sharing in this live stream, but several others have reported it. It is real. Let's go to Chris Lombardo here. This was a pure team culture move. If JD and Salah have shown us anything during their tenures, that they want guys who are team first, more clearly was it. Also, credit to Joe Douglas, because, again, it's both good and bad. The good is he's willing to hit the eject button on a player that hasn't worked out. So there's going to be a little egg on his face for trading Elijah Moore, who's looked so good, and you trade him for the equivalent of a pick swap. I mean, that's going to rub some people the wrong way, but credit to him for trying to, quote unquote, maximize value for Elijah Moore before we go into another season. And if it's lost season, his value continues to plummet. So perhaps a heady play there of preserving the locker room, to your point. Again, that rubbed some people the wrong way. Again, he wasn't a malcontent. He wasn't a team cancer. A lot of people loved him. He had a really good personality, but I know the trade request rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Let's go to Tyrone here. If we do not get OBJ, I'll say we should go all in on D-Hop, bro. Not a bad choice. And Albert Breer even floated it as a fun possibility for the New York Jets. His contract is relatively reasonable for the next 2 years. It's in that $17.5 million per year evaluation. The highest paid wide receivers in football are making $30 million plus per year. So it's certainly doable, quite frankly. The durability issues, if you have durability issues with OBJ, who you're only going to have to sign for money, DeAndre Hopkins, of course, has some durability concerns over the last handful of years, and you'd have to trade an asset for him. So there's a lot to be considered there. I'm not against it. Hopkins is a freak, but something to consider as well. Rico the Pup. How about when OBJ has a 3-game stretch where with less than 4 catches and his dad starts making highlight clips of him? Rico, look at me, pal. Come in. Bring it closer. Who was the quarterback for OBJ when his father was highlighting clips? Who was that? Oh, Baker Mayfield. See, highlighting clips of Aaron Rodgers not being able to get the ball where it needs to go. Come on. And again, this factors in. If it was Zach Wilson, maybe I have a different opinion on bringing OBJ in. Zach Wilson at times couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. He couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. What about Aaron Rodgers? As I think Leroy Butler put it in the TMZ podcast, blindfolded, he could hit a mosquito with a football. Deadly accurate. I'm not concerned at all about any of that. You're winning, you're scoring touchdown passes. OBJ is going to be just dandy. Just dandy. Franco. OBJ contract needs to be similar to the Rams contract. Low base with huge incentives. It's hard to trust him staying on the field. It won't be that low base, so there has to be some level of realism here, Frankie. He's Odell Beckham freaking Jr. So it's not going to be $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, or as OBJ said, $4 million. My, estimation would be in the 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in that ballpark with a ton of incentives, I'm sure, to, keep him motivated moving forward. So it won't be that low of a base. They're going to have to be a little bit realistic there for the market. I know the wide receiver market isn't too crazy. Jacoby Myers got 11 mil per. Alan Lazard got 11 mil per. That seems to kind of be the magic number. But hey, Odell Beckham Jr., you got to figure it out. Let's go to Damani here. I haven't been this happy as a Jet fan since 2010. Yeah, it's there haven't been a lot of choices, I'm sure, over that span with 12 plus years of no playoffs. But yes, I am absolutely elated, and I hope that comes across on the video stream. I am giddy for the primetime games, the Aaron Rodgers trade, and anyone else who could come over, as Richie kind of hinted at the beginning of our show with a little interview there. Players are going to want to come and play with Aaron Rodgers, naturally, and take a little less money. So those second, third, fourth, fifth tiers of free agency that go all the way up to the draft and after the draft for anything the Jets could have potentially missed, whether it's safety play, interior defensive line, another linebacker starter, offensive line depth, another running back. I think the team needs. Keep an eye out for Kareem Hunt. I could see that happening. Yeah, 100%. That I am as excited as I've ever been. Capone here. OBJ will be on his best behavior. He'll have a talk with Rodgers and they'll ball out. I fully expect that. Again, it's Aaron Rodgers, so it's less of a selling point than if it was some other rando. I'm sure OBJ would love to play with Aaron Rodgers, as Zach Rosenblatt reported. That is a driving factor. 19 New York Jets 69. Swap 13-15, 43rd pick, and Green Bay eats half his salary. Sounds real sweet to me. And I would prefer, we'll see if we get the swap 43rd with like the conditional pick in 2024, 2025 based on PT or Jets Ascension. I'd be kind of intrigued by that. But that's not a bad offer. If Green Bay eats half the salary, we swap 13-15, and then the 43rd pick, you'd still have 42. That one intrigues me. Not bad. Shafiq here. OBJ can shove his blonde hair up. You know what? No more old diva wide receivers. And again, diva. I feel like the diva thing gets overplayed for some people over other people. Like Elijah Moore was a diva of sorts, if we want to put it in that context. So OBJ, I'm willing to ride the train, but I know not everyone's for it, so that's fair. Rico the Pup. Moore had an outburst last year and never forgave him. If you think that the guy that was recently kicked out of an airplane for not complying is not going to be opinionated, you guys are crazy. Now, I will say this, obviously, I'm sure everyone saw the video and OBJ's talking about it. Again, he's a unique personality. There's no other way to put it. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat that. But I think, when you mix the personality, which, by the way, I think the personality can be perceived both good and bad. Now, there's a lot of extra in that coffee. There's a lot of extra in that drink. But the good thing is that OBJ brings a lot of extra on the field. So I'll take a little extra off the field if he brings the extra on the field. Bring the whipped cream, the cherry, the little shaved cinnamon. I'm all in, baby, on Odell Beckham Jr. because he brings that pizzazz to the football field as well, which titillates my juices. So Sean Bennett would be Garrett Wilson, OBJ, Lazard, Harding, Mims. That's a good wide receiver group. Yeah, Mims could be moved in this deal. I fully expect Davis to be moved in the Packers deal, but Mims could be as well. He's in the last year of his deal, but we'll see. Either way, look at that group. I mean, that's sexy. That may be one of the most talented wide receiving corps in the NFL. I don't have the rosters of every NFL team in front of me, but beat that. I don't know. Release Davis, signed Slayton. Slayton already re-signed with the New York Giants for all our people out there. That already happened, like a 2-year deal, $16 million, and he said he did not enjoy the free agency process. So no Darius Slayton, I'm afraid. And NYY. Yeah, I feel like OBJ is a better and older, more diva. He's definitely better. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, here's the thing, and we admitted this actually on an earlier stream. Jet fans, I'm sure, overrate Elijah Moore. He had a really interesting first year, and in that run, he was one of the best wide receivers in football. But if you look at the overall numbers, you're like, okay, there was pops there. It's not like he won Offensive Rookie of the Year or anything. Then last year, he had a lot of issues, both his own. He had a lot of slip-ups, and he got frustrated with the quarterback, and he had to be forcibly benched, and then obviously he was, being open, and the quarterback wasn't hitting him. But, like, OBJ is not just a better Elijah Moore. Like, he is, like, OBJ at times has been considered a top 3 receiver in football. Elijah Moore at no point was considered a top 3 wide receiver in football. So, but I think the real difference is there, NYY, to what you just said. OBJ can afford to be a little divish because he had the one-handed catch and was the poster boy for the NFL. The only thing Elijah Moore has been the poster boy for is requesting trades at 22 years of age. That's not the thing you want to be, leading the pack in. So, I'll take a little, step with that, but overall, I like it. Let's see. By the weekend, Dyke, I hope so. That'd be terrific. Shafiq, 100%. Look at the numbers. Yeah, Moore isn't in the same planetary system as Moore. Let's see. Keep them coming in, everybody. Who's hyped for One Jets Drive? The show I love, and I was so blessed to be a part of the Jets Twitter documentary. I know a lot of you guys wanted to be on. If you haven't seen it already, the New York Jets, YouTube, it's also on their website. It's a 22-minute clip where it has all the crazy people from Jets Twitter, yours included. Such a cool opportunity. Jets flew me in, or didn't fly me in. I drove in, but they brought me into their facilities, got a tour, got to photo shoots and everything else. Super cool. We will do an interview on that at some point this week, so guys, keep an eye out for that. Let's see. Jamie saying sign Jones and OBJ and draft Broderick Jones and John Michael Schmitz. That could be. And now that you have the 2 second-round picks, you have a lot more versatility from that standpoint to land one of those guys, which I love. Lais here. You guys are on top of the latest news. That's what we tried to do. Sign OBJ. Yes. I'd love OBJ, baby. That would be spectacular. F the Jets. Come on, man. What are we doing here? Let's see. Salmon Jets here. Yo, mad movements today. OBJ signed before Rodgers. They could be. I don't know if it's quite Mecole Hardman, Elijah Moore trade, but and maybe that's another sign. Although I think we have enough signs. Like again, Rodgers playing for the Jets, but when is the big question. Let's see. Yeah, Richie in the house. Richie's great. It's great. I've never had him on my show before, so that was a treat. That was a treat. Is Saleh the right guy? Wow, okay, here's a take. I mean, give up all this, but we could have gave up picks to get a head coach that win games with Taysom Hill. Again, to me, the Sean Payton thing wasn't happening. Think about this, right? Why the hell would Sean Payton, and first off, think about the compensation to give up first, so the Jets wouldn't have 13 anymore. So that wouldn't have happened. But like Sean Payton looks at the Jets and they gave up on Saleh after 2 years. Like, I think he would have raised some eyebrows. And would he have wanted to come here? I don't know. So while Sean Payton's a wonderful coach, my brother, one of my brothers is a diehard Saints fan. I've known Sean Payton, the coach figure, for a long time. I've seen all his success. He's an offensive wizard. I am comfortable with Robert Saleh. So I am very comfortable with Robert Saleh and him leading this team. Not everyone is, though. So different strokes, different folks, I bet. Yeah, Bills are done. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people saying the Bills are going to get better this offseason. I'm like, well, let me see it, because they lost Tremaine Edmonds, their unbelievable linebacker. I'm trying to think of other guys. They lost Devin Singletary, whatever. Damian Harris, that's a wash. Maybe a slight upgrade with Harris coming in, who's a bruiser. But, like, you look at that room, and they're, like, losing guys. They brought back Poyer, cool. But, again, I don't see this great, wow, look out for the Bills. Like, I'm not saying they suck, but, I mean, watch out for the Jets. That would be my question. Yeah, I know a lot of people are kind of conflicted on Brian Costello, but I thought it was great reporting and worthy of bringing to your guys' attention. Hawk, Paul, you're big time, baby. Nobody gets a guess you get. So, yes, I see all of you are curious on who the player is. Yeah, in case you missed it, here's a tease and why you guys should subscribe to the channel if you're not already. YouTube.com/BoyGreen25. Again, we're 4,000 plus strong. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Again, last week we had Field Yates on ESPN NFL Insider. We had New York Jets defensive lineman Bryce Huff on the show, which was spectacular. And I have a player in waiting, a guy who has not signed a contract with the New York Jets, and he is waiting to put the ink on the paper. This is the greatest tease I can give you. And as soon as he does, I've spoken to his people, he's coming on the show. So, boom, Jets player or a player waiting to sign a contract to join the Jets. And as soon as he does, boop, jumping on the show. Again, that's as great of a tease as I could possibly give you. We have some other big-time guests joining us as well down the line. So again, guys, if you're not already, we do the live streams. We're doing these fan Q&As. We have other special guests like Richie and other content creators and Jets current and older players joining us on the show, which is spectacular. So Flex, you guys keep asking. Again, it's a surprise. I can't tell you. I can't reveal. But make sure you subscribe and you won't miss it. There you go. Boom. Seeing all the OBJ love. Very nice. Buffalo fans are trolling us because of fear, or Buffalo Jet fan as well. Everyone says this, yo boy, where's your neck? Like everyone says, is this like I guess I got a big beard. Like, so I guess you don't see the neck. Is that like a beard joke? Am I very, I kind of walk around like I don't have a neck? I hear a lot of people say that on my videos. I don't know if a lot of people, maybe a loud minority, but like, yo bro, where's your neck? I've got a beard. I don't know. I'm not really understanding that one, but I see it every once in a while. But anywho, I finally addressed it, I guess, on a live stream. So here you are. Sean Bennett, let's see. When Rodgers signs with us, Buffalo's done. Beat them with Zach Wilson. Imagine with Rodgers. I mean, that's a great way to put it. Although the thing I'm looking forward to is giving the business to the New England Patriots. Come on. Going into Foxborough with Aaron Rodgers, and I'm like, we're going to run the score up on you suckers. That's for damn sure. So I'm looking forward to that. That would be great. So that'd be fantastic. OBJ washed, bruh. Nah. OBJ still got it. He still got it. But we'll see who's right ultimately, obviously. But I think OBJ still has plenty of gas left in the tank for sure. Hardman is OBJ's backup. I don't see it. I think Hardman is the Braxton Berrios replacement. Gadget guy, return guy, deep threat. I think he brings a lot to the table. The Jets have a lot of plans for him, but I think it's more so Braxton replacement than OBJ backup. Although you're just going to be so deep that I think it's all going to work out. So, Sean, I'm selling you. Yeah, you're damn right I am, baby. I am a wizard with the sales pitch. OBJ incentive contract. Again, that's what I believe it'll be. There will be a strong base. I'm not saying like 20 million base. I think it's probably going to be again, 6, 7, 8, 9 base with a ton of incentives that can maybe get him to 15. And obviously with the incentives, he'll be super motivated to get it. Let's see. He was just in the Super Bowl. It changed mentally. Absolutely. OBJ will be a Jet tomorrow. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Very nice. Yeah, Lazard has a nice floor. I think that's a good way to put it. Again, he'll give you 600, 700 yards, 6, 7 touchdowns. He's a beast in the red zone, which will be a welcome addition, quite frankly, to the New York Jets. So he's got a nice floor, knows the system. I just, there's a lot to like. A closer. That's a great way to put it, Hawk. That's what I was going to say as I was reading your comment. OBJ is not a 30, 35 snap a game, 1,000-yard receiver. He's a specialty guy who you can use in big moments and keep him healthy for the playoffs. Again, I don't think they're going to keep him cryogenically frozen under MetLife Stadium or anything. But yeah, he is a guy that will be available because of your depth. You can attack defenses in a lot of different ways. And again, the other thing that's versatile, Mecole Hardman can play inside the slot, outside. Allen Lazard can do inside, outside. Garrett Wilson can do inside, outside. And obviously, Odell Beckham Jr. speaks for himself. So there is a lot to like there from that perspective. And again, if you really candidly look at it, and Stanley, you're doing it on YouTube, think about this for a second. Mecole Hardman, Braxton Berrios. Hardman, upgrade, obviously. Elijah Moore, OBJ. Put the fan stuff aside. OBJ is a clear upgrade over Elijah Moore. Again, OBJ is not official, but it's been strongly predicted that it's going to happen. Zach Rosenblatt just said that on the Can't Wait podcast. Allen Lazard to Corey Davis. Slight upgrade. Again, I'm not going to, say, oh my God, unbelievable upgrade. Now they got a top 5 receiver. I'm not saying that. Let's not go crazy. But Elijah Moore is, again, OBJ is an upgrade over Elijah Moore. Allen Lazard is an upgrade over Corey Davis. Okay. Those are just facts. So you are upgrading significantly at those two positions, plus the overall room in itself. So those are upgrades. Who's catching pass over the middle? Well, the Jets restructure the contracts of both Tyler Conklin, who I love a lot, especially with Aaron Rodgers, and CJ Uzomah. Those are going to be the guys over the middle, but still more to come. The Jets could use Jeremy Ruckert as part of the Packers trade, and they get a new guy in from the draft. The tight end position's pretty deep, so that could be fairly interesting. But so there's a lot to kind of be, kind of brought in there. I'm seeing maybe it's just trolling. Some people are like, wait, Elijah Moore got traded? Yeah, a lot happened today. So if you took a afternoon nap, your world is smacking you like a house of bricks, I'm willing to say. Hopefully OBJ. Let's not forget about a healthy Becton and AVT. I will say this, Jacob, a great comment on our Facebook page. The Jets, and I've heard this from a few people now, the Jets are higher on their offensive line than the fans. Fans are going, oh my God, offensive tackle, got to do something. Center, what the hell's going on there? Jets are like, we got a plan. Now, Ben Jones could be part of that plan. Zach Rosenblatt said he wouldn't be surprised if Ben Jones is a member of the Jets, and they're going to try to get him for dirt cheap because the center market has really folded. Connor McGovern technically is still out there as well. I think they feel really good about Dwayne Brown. He played on one arm last year, and look what he did. Imagine what he could do with two arms. AVT coming back from the torn tricep. Lakin, I think, is going to have a huge bounce back year. He's another guy we had on the show a couple weeks back. So 100%, Jacob. It's a big pivot point. A huge pivot point there. Carlos, the Jets' 2 second-round picks are equivalent to the 17th, although I'm not going to like it. I could see JD sending both picks to Green Bay. That, to me, would be too aggressive. But what's the rest of the deal look like? Do the Jets get a player back from Green Bay? Does Green Bay pay most of the salary? So, maybe there's a world where that exists, but that to me would be too aggressive. I'm willing to pair a second with some future pick and other things, but both would be a little bit much. Connor Hughes just tweeted that he would be surprised if OBJ doesn't become a Jet. Booyah! Let's pull that up. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We just talked about that with Zach Rosenblatt, so let's pull up the tweet. It feels like Rodgers OBJ discount double check is coming soon to the Jets. I would be surprised if it wasn't. Boom. Yeah, let's throw this on the big board. Good shout out here, Sylvie Scouts. That of Connor Hughes. I absolutely love it. Boom. From the man himself. Connor Hughes, who covers New York Jets for SNY TV. He'd be surprised if it did not happen. And again, that's exactly what we heard today in terms of the prediction of OBJ Jets baby. Shout out to Connor Hughes with that nugget. That's beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. Great catch, Selville. Lauren James. Hey, Paul, can you imagine those teams that used to snicker at the Jets are now going to say, oh, crap, we're so in trouble. I'm loving this. About time, Paul. Over the top for all of us Jet fans. We're going to the show. We're going to the show. Or like from Hardball, we're going to the ship. We're going to the ship. Oh, I'm so excited. But, baby, buy the Super Bowl tickets in Vegas. It's getting litty. For all you kids. I don't know if that's what you guys say anymore. It's getting litty, baby. It's about to get intense. The Jets are going to be in your face, national television, and say, hey, here we are. We're coming to win games, chew bubblegum, and kick people's ass. And we're going to do it every stop of the way. So it just feels gosh darn fantastic. I'm going to be blunt. So that is going to be spectacular. This was a trade to get the ammo for the Rodgers trade, and it could maybe boop to boop to boop. Maybe we get those trades all coming together here very nicely. Absolutely not, Jermaine. Will G-Dub see less opportunities now? Come on. It's Garrett gosh darn Wilson. The Jets know, and it's apparent in the stats last year, when they fed Garrett Wilson, good things happen. When they did not, bad things happen. Garrett Wilson will become the new quasi-Devontae Adams with the Jets, regardless of all the other talent. He's going to get the rock on a game-to-game basis. He's proven that every time, and then the rest of the pieces will be divvied up. I know there's one football, and I just read to you that amazing, talented wide receiving core, but it's friggin' happening, baby. It is friggin' happening. Sluggo, I'm out. Paul, you're a stargazer. I appreciate that. I am. Yeah, for better or for worse. For better or for worse. Let's go to this one. Sean, Dwayne Brown in a 17-game season? Nah. Plus Becton? I believe you have to draft an offensive tackle high. Let's actually look at that for a second. Now, is Dwayne Brown old? Obviously. Dwayne Brown is very old. Let's see. Specifically, this man is 37 years old. He was born in 1985. I was about to say 1842, but that's not quite true. He's 37, will be 38 by the start of the 2023 season. His birthday is in late August. However, a point I want to bring up here is that sometimes I think people mistake age and say, oh, that means Dwayne Brown isn't this durable guy. Actually, he quite frankly has been. He's been a steady rock throughout his career. Let's go through the last handful of seasons. 2018, played all 16 games. 2019, 12. 2020, 16. 2021, 17. He played 12 this past season, and the 12 games he played was with a torn rotator cuff. So this guy's tough as a son of a gun and has been, quite frankly, incredibly durable during his career. Of course, the later stage you get in your career, the more brittle, for lack of a better word, you get. So it's no guarantee. Becton, of course, has played 48 snaps over the last 2 years. Major question marks. Max Mitchell, his season ended because of a rare blood clot disorder. So again, there are questions, obviously. I'm not trying to brush those aside, but I don't think you have to draft an offensive tackle. Does Jonah Williams get traded for? I don't know. Do you sign a guy like, I don't even know who the hell's out there anymore, so we could dive through the free agency. But I think there are more moves to be had. I think they're going to get themselves in a good position where they don't have to rush and be forced into situations. Paying OBJ less than Corey Davis. Yeah, Corey Davis won't be on the team, but yeah, he's making between $10.5 and $11.5 million when you factor in cap hit and his contract structure. So OBJ would be probably making less base, but I think it will be with incentives will be higher. What say you about drafting a wide receiver? I'm open to it, certainly, obviously. Now, is it Jackson Smith and Jigba at 13? Is it a lower level guy like at 42 or 43? They probably want to go center at that spot, and they don't have 74 anymore. So, yeah, I am certainly open to it. Again, you can never not be open to it because runs happen in the draft and people, come down the board and all kinds of things. So, yeah, I am not opposed to it at all. Rico the Pup, I'm not changing my mind, Boy Green. I love you to death, but I just don't think he's the move. Referencing OBJ. I know some people are not going to buy into that. Let's go to Lawrence Lamarca here. Hey, Boy Green, just want to send some support. Jets, baby. And guys, thank you so much. We'll be on for a few more minutes here. I'll try to catch up to all your comments. Again, super chats are always welcome. And thank you, Lawrence. It means the world. This is our third video today, second live stream of an hour plus of what we're going to be here. So awesome. Guys, when you support the show, it just tickles. It tickles my heart. So I really appreciate you guys digging into your pockets for me. Thank you. That's groovy, baby. And I love the support. Let's see here. Rico the Pup, Mims watching all these pieces getting moved and him somehow surviving. For now, he's in the last year of his deal, so we'll see what happens. Brian Phil, what time to be a Jet fan, baby? Yeah, it feels great. It feels amazing. No doubt about it. It feels spectacular. Lauren, I'm out of my mind excited. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, only 200 something watching. I have 285 in front of me, but 43 likes. Again, guys, like the video. It makes, and I think you sometimes hear this from YouTubers or content creators are like the video. Like, oh man, they always say that. But the reason we do is because YouTube significantly factors in likes. If you guys like the video, then they're like, maybe other Jet fans will like this, and they spread it around, and it helps us grow and everything else. So it may seem insignificant to you guys, but it makes a tremendous difference. That's a free way any of you that are watching either live or after the fact can help the show grow and expand and everything else. Because I'd love to get up to all those other big wig Jets content creators. We're 4,000 subscribers strong, and again, we're brick by brick, baby. But any support you could give is great. Tony, as a Brown fan, what should we expect out of Moore? I could give you a quick rundown here, Tony. 22 years old. Again, he's got all the potential in the world. Immensely talented. He can be a superstar wide receiver in the league. The problem is attitude, buy-in. As we just heard earlier from Brian Costello, the Jets didn't believe he bought into what they were selling. And that, obviously demanded a trade at 22 years of age in the middle of a winning streak. So at one point early in his career, he said, I don't care about stats. I care about winning. And then you fast forward to when they're winning and he cared about stats. So like, what is it really? I think bad people are whispering in his ear, bluntly. A.J. Brown is a personal best friend of his that he met at Ole Miss. And A.J. Brown demanded a trade out of Tennessee. And we saw how all that worked out. I think he has bad people whispering in his ear, to be honest. I think he's a good kid. I don't think he's like a terrible human being. He's not a criminal. But I think that he is in a wrong way right now with the wrong people whispering to him in his ear, and he's listening to the wrong people. I think Elijah Moore can be a star. With Deshaun Watson, they're going to be throwing the ball all over the place. You have Donovan Peoples-Jones on the outside, Amari Cooper on the outside. Elijah Moore should be able to eat in the slot. But obviously, he's a guy that is easily bothered, for lack of a better word. His feathers can be ruffled and he can be thrown off. The quarterback situation bothered him so much that he ended up having to be suspended by the team to miss a game in the middle of a winning streak. So that's stuff you got to kind of prepare for. And you always, of course, have a longer leash for more talented guys. Let's see. Any possibility Lamar becomes a Jet? I can't see it. Maybe if this Aaron Rodgers thing drags to after the draft and Lamar Jackson still remains unsigned on the non-exclusive, the Jets go, you know what, F this. We'll threaten it, maybe. And Aaron Rodgers and the Packers go, oh, snap, we got to move this. We can't stop playing around. Maybe, but it seems incredibly unlikely at this point. I love Lamar, and I hopefully he gets a deal from somebody because I love the player. Do we trade back down from 13 to get back into the third round? Matthias here. It's certainly possible to do that to recoup picks, but it depends on the Rodgers trade. It's kind of impossible to say because did they only trade 42? Did they trade 43? Did they trade 42 and 43? And then I could easily see them trading back from 13 to recoup the second round picks lost, or vice versa. If they lost the second rounds, I could see them trading up to say, hey, we're going all in, so F the picks. But there's a lot of different ways. Edgar, great question here. Paul, do you think the defense will play better, same, or worse? I think there's more additions to be added. I think Sauce is obviously only going to get better, and I want to see some more pieces added. A Fletcher Cox would have been perfect for this unit who they chased, but they were a top 5 unit. I think fair aggression keeps them inside the top 10. So, and then you dramatically, obviously, improve the quarterback situation from Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. It's like that trash bag commercial. Hefty, hefty, wimpy, wimpy. Hefty, hefty. Aaron Rodgers, hefty. Zach Wilson, wimpy. Sorry, I wish it wasn't. I wish we were talking about a different conversation. We're talking about using those assets to build around Zach Wilson, but obviously that's not the case. So I think probably realistically a little worse. Although, in fairness, the Jets were 32nd heading into this past season, and then they jumped to top 5. And I'm like, a realistic jump is maybe 12 spots, and they jumped like 30 spots, 20-something spots. So, I think realistically, though, it's probably a little worse. Jeff, has anyone heard from Zach Wilson about any of this? Actually, Jeff, it seems like Zach Wilson, and I'm not surprised by this necessarily, him and his camp seem to be just kind of keeping everything close to the vest. Zach Wilson has not been posting on social media. Again, that also does not surprise me. Again, I think he will embrace Aaron Rodgers as the guy if he comes in because that's his idol. It's a very unique situation. He's older, so Aaron Rodgers could retire at a year, so Zach Wilson could still be here. I think it would have been a lot different, though, if it was Jimmy Garoppolo, 31, Derek Carr, 31. That could have been a weird rub. Could have really kind of blown things up. That ended up not happening, obviously, so we have not heard from him officially, but he has been kind of staying off the radar from that standpoint. All right, sign Quan, of course. I'd love Quan back. And the longer we wait, I think the better chance it is that he comes back for cheap. So hopefully, fingers crossed. FM, Paul Boy Green, baby. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're here late on a whatever night it is. Wednesday, I think. James, who said they're predicted to sign him? Zach Rosenblatt predicted. Also, Connor Hughes, apparently, which we just showed, also predicted that it's going to happen. So there you are. Boy Green is getting Rodgers. Holy shit. I'm not saying yes, but I'm not saying no. Wink. Again, we will see who joins us. Who is that man that we're talking about? Who knows? Who knows, people? I'll keep you on the edge of your seat about it. That's for sure. Paul, you're handsome. Don't listen to the trolls. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Even though apparently I have no neck. Whose emergency quarterback if Aaron Rodgers retires doesn't come? Lamar Jackson. But again, that's not going to happen. There's no way. He committed to playing. OBJ on Boy Green. Wink. I love your guys' guesses. This is great. Maybe Aaron Rodgers and Boy Green, or Boy Green. I am Boy Green, third person. Aaron Rodgers and OBJ at the same time. Maybe so. Protect your neck. There's a great MMA podcast called Protect Your Neck. That's Dan Tom. Shout out to him. I'm a big MMA guy. They're intimidated by your manly, grizzly neck compared to their skinny, fragile chicken necks. Probably. That's probably it. They cast stones from the glass house. Oh, there you go. Hardman is elite. Reminds me of a better version of Tyreek Hill. That's what I think, too. Not quite, but I love the aggressiveness. People don't know about Boy Green's extensive martial arts background. Man is an actual weapon, a 5'4.5" unit of man, baby. Yes, by the way, for those who are old to the channel, I'm still recovering. I had an MRI actually this past weekend on the knee. There's a fear it could be a torn ACL. Hopefully it's not. I will find out the MRI results on Friday. So I've not been back at Taekwondo since my 4th degree Taekwondo black belt test. So fingers crossed, everybody. There's my random sports update. I am wearing a knee brace right now. I don't have to use crutches anymore. That's a plus. So we will keep an eye out. Boca. Elijah Moore quit on a lot of plays last year if he wasn't targeted. I don't know about that. I just know in general. But there were some plays people showed. Lazard won't even make the team. That's a take. $44 million. I could give you 44 million reasons why he's going to, although 22 million is the guarantees. Let's see. How is OBJ an upgrade over Moore? I mean, I don't know how else to bluntly put it. Look at the stats, baby. Elijah Moore is a player that we overrate bluntly. I think Elijah Moore's talented. Now, I'm not just saying this because he's gone. But Elijah Moore is a player that we overrate. Odell Beckham Jr., look at the stats, the accolades. He's done way more in his career than Elijah Moore has even thought of. That's just, it's not even negotiable. But again, you want to talk about 5 years from now, 10 years from now or something and try to do some weird projection of 22 years old, what he can be, maybe. But no, it's OBJ is a clear upgrade. Yeah, there you go. Big Frank 2005. Beckham is producing in the NFL, more hasn't. Boom. Blunt, but true. 100%. BK Moore will be a top 5 receiver in Cleveland. Could be. I like Elijah Moore. I don't like that he requested a trade in the middle of a winning streak, but I do like Elijah Moore. Jets are signing 12 receivers. What about DT, center, linebacker, or safety? Those things will come in time. Let's be honest, though. Let's talk about it. If the Jets have Aaron Rodgers, is the second safety next to Chuck Clark going to decide if they win or lose? No. Is the third linebacker next to C.J. Mosley and Quincy Williams going to be the reason the Jets win or lose if Aaron Rodgers at quarterback? No. Defensive tackle, is interior defensive line depth going to be the reason the Jets lose? Probably not. Center, of course, we'll figure that out. I think that's a draft thing. But no, to the point, score all the damn points. I think that's what the mentality is. Again, I don't think they're necessarily, quote unquote, ignoring these positions. They made a chase for Jake Brendel, the free agent center. They made a chase for Fletcher Cox. They've made chases for some of these guys that just hasn't come to fruition for whatever reason. So I think there is more to be done there for sure. All right, let's quickly go through a couple other quickies here. One is OBJ getting signed. TBD, I suppose, but I think it may be close to the Rodgers news. Dave from New Brunswick. Mecole was a good signing. Always nice to have a Super Bowl champ. Yeah, 2-time Super Bowl champ. He has 2 rings on his finger. Doesn't hurt to bring in Super Bowl hardware. I think players respect that. Now, maybe that was more so Patrick Mahomes than Mecole Hardman, but hey, he's got the rings, baby. You have the right to spin the narrative. Let's see. Boy Green, they pulled me back to this from The Godfather 3. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying they say it in Sopranos. That's my most recent reference is Sopranos. Yes, I don't mean to insult our Godfather people in the room. Fire King. Boy, do you consider channel memberships? I do a 99 cents a month club on a couple of channels. I think it could be a huge plus for you. We actually do have a YouTube membership. That is a Boy Green Superfan Club. Although I want to expand it even more. So I love that you guys are supporting the channel. We'll try to do, I know Green Bean does awesome stuff. Buffalo is a Green Stampede. So we're going to try to expand it to do some cool stuff. So when you guys, if you guys choose to join the membership club, I give you cool perks. So I've promised some stuff in there, and I'd love to expand it. We only have a very small amount of members. It's an elite club. But yes, we do have what I can't even remember, quite frankly, how much it is. It's like a cup of coffee or something, the Buffalo line. But I am certainly open to it and exploring more stuff in the future. So yes, keep an eye out for that. Rico the Pup. Oh, yeah. Cool pub for Boy Green. Love it. Subscribe to Boy Green. He gets the best interviews. Had Bryce Huff on a few days ago. What other YouTuber gets those kind of interviews? None. You're true, Rico. It's true. Again, Bryce Huff, Field Yates. We had Lakin Tomlinson on earlier this offseason. We had Tyler Conklin on a bunch of months ago. We had Jericho Cotchery on for our Jets Legends. We had Jericho Cotchery on, which was an absolute pleasure. We had George Fant on during the season. He was a lot of fun. Yeah, so old players, current players, Damian Woody was another really good one we had. Charles Davis of the NFL Network. So, yeah, we've had a lot of guests. I try to flex as much as possible, baby. So, again, I try to bring my own flavor to Jets Twitter and Jets content creator land. It's different for everybody, but let's keep going here. I'm going to try to get to as many of these comments as possible. I think we move around this draft. I could see that happening, both trading up and trading down. Did I think Leon beat Usman? Well, again, I kind of have this for our MMA people in the chat. To be the champ, you have to beat the champ. So I think it has to be overwhelmingly convincing to beat the champ. And while Usman has been a great champ previously, well, Leon was the defending champ. So I thought Leon did enough, quite frankly, to maintain the title. So, and then what? He got the point deduction from holding onto the fence, which again was huge. So I really hate when people do that. But yes, so I think Leon was there. And I think Conor McGregor will be next, or is it Colby Covington, although he's pushing against that? I don't know. We'll have to get an MMA update at some other point. Paul, Jake, his hairline is receding horribly. He's only 19 years old. He's going to be bald next year. Good Lord. Wow. Not a lot of Jake Asman fans I see in here. I love Jake. He's good. That is funny. That is funny. I like Jake. He's a good guy. Bengus, I love the show. If we don't trade 13, Skoronski, that's my guy. If we go offensive line, I love Peter Skoronski. He's been compared to Elijah Vera Tucker. He's got great versatility. He came in as a center, but he's also played the tackle spots and guard as well. Yes, on Skoronski. Guys, thanks for joining us here for another live stream. We had 2 long-ass live streams today. We appreciate all the support. Make sure you guys like the video. Hit subscribe down below. Again, we were well over 4,000. Appreciate it. We're chasing 5,000. Trying to get to that before the draft. Hell, maybe we could get to that ASAP. Make sure you tell a friend, share the love, and make sure you guys do so. We always appreciate it. We'll be back on soon, I'm sure, to talk about even more action happening with the New York Jets. Again, the 2 highlights from this video, in case you missed it, the Jets predicted to sign Odell Beckham Jr. from a number of sources that we found out during the show. And also the coaches just didn't believe in Elijah Moore. They did not believe he bought in. And ultimately, old Elijah Moore got shipped off and apparently was not part of this team's future. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. This is a great show. We'll do another one here shortly. And that show, by the way, will be tomorrow. We'll have Randy Mueller, former NFL general manager, on the show. That show will kick off at 4 o'clock Eastern time. He's a former NFL general manager that once even interviewed for the Jets general manager job. Again, eventually, we're going to have to get that story out of Randy, which he told me off air. So again, Randy Mueller, former NFL GM, he'll be joining us tomorrow on the show. That's a mix of both Jets and NFL, but a fun show as always. Hopefully you guys can tune in for that again. Thursday, March 23rd, 4 o'clock. Be there, be square. We'll see you next time, baby. Peace out.